Hey, friends. Hello, 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 hello. Happy New Year. Happy New You. Happy new ideas, maybe intentions, goal settings. Like, where are you as you've landed into yet the beginning of another year? So, for some of you, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, others 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. I mean, I've got colleagues and friends that are already up here in the upper upper numbers of our lifespan and our life expectancy. And regardless of the age or where we are, where we've been, who we know, where we're going, there's some very, very specific practices that have made a difference for many of us already, and it's going to continue to make a difference for us as we continue to dial up, dial down, whatever way you want to see it, our practice in this on how to be and become this. So, cultivating more and more capacities for this, aligning with our highest self, drawing on spiritual wisdom, what we know for sure, exploring our own inner being, letting be, letting go, which we looked at the last few weeks, limiting ideas, beliefs, old patternings, and then to allow life, even to look forward to or embrace life with more openness, trust, and presence. Would this be okay with you? So, as we look today, the themes, I look back at what I have been teaching and preaching and sermoning and practicing too with devotion, actually, some of the themes, and decided what themes will I carry forward for next year. What things am I going to do? And I listen to podcasts regularly, and of course, read books, and I'm in collegial groups and developing leaders groups and things that I study a lot, as well as facilitating my own coursework through immersive processes and extraordinary leader processes. And if you ever want to be a part of those, you'd contact me directly, marthacreek@gmail.com, to let me know you're interested in those. They're not open to the public, and so they're not on the website. It's information for people that I have had a direct experience of and that some have worked together with to take a deeper dive into some of the things that can block us or that we may not be as conscious about. Also, if you haven't already, please go over to the Martha Creek YouTube channel and subscribe to that so that you'll be notified of any of the teachings coming in. If they're resonant with you, how they come through me, like and subscribe the Martha Creek channel as well as this one so that you then will be notified when something new comes in. It also helps to fulfill my vision, my mission, which is to serve those who serve and to get empowered teachings to the whole of humanity. And together we can do what I cannot do alone. So that would be helpful. So, as we look at then, what am I going to do in this new year, 2025? What are you going to do that's different? Maybe nothing. I've never seen it because even if we don't consciously change something, we're going to change, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So, as I laid them out numerically for me, like a list, I'll just present them today to see how can you relate, or if you do, to that, and what can you do that would be beneficial, meaningful, purposeful, prayerful for your life, practically, as the power of presence. The power of presence, the power of knowing that this is the foundation for living fully, living mindfully, living purposefully. So, presence as defined by I'm awake and aware to the very breath that I have, that I'm being breathed. Awake and aware that my return to that, my alignment with that, has the most clarity, the most peace, and the most power that anything in the world can. So it actually is not wise or practical to avoid or deny or not care for, not tend to presence in me. So practicing the power of presence. How can you do that? How do you do that? And how can you do it dialing it up in this new year? Number two, awakening to potential. Every one of us holds infinite potential. Infinite, infinite, unbound, untold, no measuring of potential. And potential has to be cultivated. So if I'm stuck on I can't, then I'm in an infinite I can't cycle versus what can I do? What can I do about this situation I'm in? What can I do about the things that need to be done around the house? What can I do? And testing it to see. So I can't do this much of some things, but I can do this much. I can't do this much stressful walking anymore, fast paced and not suffer, but I can do this much less stressful walking. So, what is some area that you have some potential in? So, didn't really have any call to like write books and all that. And now there's two books out in my name that came from newsletters that I wrote. So, awakening to potential in me meant I don't have to sit and write a book to have a book. I can take newsletters that have already been written over the years and put them into a book. I took these teachings, presence and potential, actually the name of the book, the last one that I've been living as practice for the last 20 years, got them into summarized and into a Word document and outright into a book to be published. Now it's already made its way out into 12 or 13 countries. So awakening to potential. What potential do you have that you've not awakened to yet? What are you willing to do to see and test your limits? What are you willing to do to awaken to a new potential in you? So some of my colleagues were sharing that their most creative years was when they was between 60 and 70 years old. We just got demographics on the church leaders, and the majority, two-thirds of the majority, not of the majority, two-thirds of all of the ministers leading ministries that was then this measured are over 65 years old. So what potential do you hold that we say, oh, it's too late for that, or I'm too old for that, maybe, to really question it, which leads me to number three, which is self inquiry. Questioning, is it true that I'm too old to do that? Questioning, am I too female to do that? Am I too fat to do that? Am I too old? Am I too dumb? Am I too whatever? To really question this limiting false ideas. They're based on false narratives that we actually took on as children. So, questioning what I'm thinking, questioning my beliefs, questioning my patterning, my habitual patterning. Where did I get that? When did I start doing that? When did I start believing that? Who would I be if I didn't believe that anymore? So, what in your system, what in your world could you question, wisely question, in the name of transforming it? Transforming my old beliefs, turning them around. So, I can't do it becomes, well, I can do something. It wasn't true that I couldn't do it. And for years, I teased and teased. I used to pr- traipse around for decades actually saying, I wanted to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. But I actually didn't. because I wasn't willing to do what it took to lose weight. I wasn't willing to measure calories. I wasn't willing to exercise, go back to the gym. I wasn't willing to burn off more calories than I took in. I wasn't willing to give up drinking sweet tea. I've gone to half sweet tea now just because I didn't like the taste of the sweet tea anymore. So I was claiming I wanted something that I actually didn't, or I wasn't willing to do the work that was necessary to do it. Others say, I want to travel, I want to go on a trip. It's like, you may not want to do that. You may be claiming you want to do a trip. And I was working with a woman who said she wants to go on a trip and she's mad at me because I make it look easy, and that she couldn't go on a trip because she didn't have the money to go on a trip like that. And in this particular case, the trip was going to cost about, it was a 5-night cruise and airfare there, and then some spending money. So it would have cost around $1,500. And I don't, can't afford. And she asked me to sit with her so she could prove to me she didn't have the money to do this. And when we started looking at her finances, and her salary was something like $35,000, she was spending $25 a month on a newspaper, for example. And she didn't, I said, well, for example, you don't have to have the newspaper. You can use that money towards your trip. And she was very offended. She said, well, just because you don't read the news doesn't mean I'm not going to read the news. And I said, no, I'm not asking you to give up the news. I'm just pointing out you'd rather have a newspaper than a trip. So it wasn't true that you really want the trip. So 25 times 12, that would have paid for some of the cruise. Then we looked and looked, and she was paying for cable TV, which at that time was $150 a month. Now it's some, my friends just told me they're paying upwards of $300 a month for this. And even if it's 200, 200 times 12 would have been enough to nearly pay for 2 trips. And then she said, I'm not giving up cable just because you don't watch TV. And I said, I didn't ask you to give up anything. Again, we're questioning what we believe. And then she started to cry a little and she said, the truth is, Martha, I don't watch TV more than 2 or 3 times a month. So she was paying nearly $200 for cable and not really enjoying it, not really using it that much, and a newspaper. Then she said, now, while I'm confessing that newspaper I've been buying for $25 a month, I don't even bring it in the house. I pick it up off the front porch and put it over in a recycle bin. It does not even come in my house. But she was believing that she was supposed to get a newspaper to stay adept and to stay informed, and that made her smarter, or because my parents had always done it or something. So these are real benefits of us doing inquiry. What is actually true for me? And am I congruent with what I claim that I want? Are my actions in alignment with that? No shame, no blame, no guilt. It's just a chance to bring some new levels of integrity to what I actually am about and what I want to do and be in my life for the rest of my life, or at least for this next few days, or this next few months, or this next new year. Number 4 is allowing for change and allowing for uncertainty. And it is not easy for me. It's not easy even for the people I know that claim they want change. And it is inevitable. How many times you've heard it over and over and again. And resisting it is creating a great deal of unnecessary suffering for us. Resisting change, worried about change, versus accepting what I cannot control, accepting what I cannot predict and control, and that there's going to be ample supply of uncertainty, ample supply of things that didn't go the way that I wanted them to go. And accepting this uncertainty, allowing for this uncertainty, even when I can't accept it, allowing for it, that reality rules this, opens the door to more possibility for me, and for me to be with things more resourcefully, more creatively, more innovatively, more thoughtfully, instead of shutting down and being triggered in the fear of how awful this is, or how wrong this is, or how I didn't get what I wanted. So, how are you able to do this as we fully inhabit, cultivate, and more fully inhabit, more fully embody the present moment of being here now, realizing that this is the only place where life is actually happening, is transformative and the best use of our energy there possibly is. And to continue to detach from specific results will foster a freedom, a liberation, a liberated way of living that we've not even tapped into yet. And at least it will lower our stress to continue to free ourselves and liberate ourselves for any attachment to any specific outcome. And we're told, trust life and trust that life is unfolding and divine order is at rule. And it's one thing to say it, and it's one thing to affirm it, and one thing to throw out a platitude about it, and it's another thing entirely to embody this. And then as we question what we believe, our unexamined thoughts, our false narratives, the more we do that, the less hold they have on us, the more likely they are to dissolve, pass through, have less effect on us. So, therefore, more potential, more energy freed up, more life energy that's not drained off, arguing with what we cannot change, and it leaking our energies off into things that we don't have any control over. And then being accountable to our inner world. And the tendency since the beginning of creation is to blame. Blaming people, blaming situations, blaming our family, blaming our past, blaming our gender, blaming our ethin, ethnicity, blaming anything. Our tendency is for that. It is absolutely disempowering versus taking more and more full responsibility for my own emotions, for my reactions to the past, for the way I interpreted the past, for the unhealed parts of me, for my own actions, and including then blaming less, including myself. So, this is the basis of the self compassion work that I've been immersed in for the last 2 years and will continue, as far as I know, for the rest of my years together. And highly recommend a dose of self compassion. If you're hearing this, to get in touch with somebody that you think leads this mm, practice, this charge, this idea of self compassion. I follow Kristen Neff, Neff, and Chris Germer, Germer. And there's many, many, Tara Brock. There's many, many authors and podcasts and books about this. And as with all other books, it's only powerful and transformative to the degree that I apply it, which is right into the next one, which is practicing self compassion, self acceptance. This means allowing for my own imperfections and the perfection of my imperfections. And I truly believe that self acceptance is the cornerstone of spiritual awakening. Self acceptance is a cornerstone, the cornerstone of spiritual awakening. So vital. Allowing some trust in the process of life, life's wisdom as a journey of growth, a journey of discovery, a journey of evolution, and that the processes empower us and are equipping us to navigate whatever challenges we have, even though at times it may feel like we cannot do it. It's absolutely not true. And of course, my favorite, gratitude, 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 which shifts my perspective. It shifts my opinion. It shifts my mood. It shifts my hormones. It shifts my brain. And it shifts what I'm going to do. and it shifts how I'm going to be with people and how I'm going to be in certain situations. And then finally, to live from my highest self. The highest self that is a wellspring of wisdom, a wellspring of compassion, of creativity, of zeal, of enthusiasm, of understanding, of will, of faith, of love, of strength, of power, of letting go. Innate, inherent power. And accessing it requires intentional practice, intentional alignment, intentional reflection, intentional contemplation, intentional silence, intentional listening, intentional receiving, sharing. So, God bless you as you proceed. All my blessings to you conveyed through the wholeheartedness that I have for the divine and for divine creation as you. marthacreek.com to contact me if there's any way in the world specifically I can serve you. Blessings.